You're listening to Lasting Recovery. Once again, here's your host, Dr. Judy Saalinger.
Hello, this is Dr. Judy Saalinger. I'm a licensed marriage family therapist and certified addiction specialist with Lasting Recovery, San Diego's premier holistic outpatient alcohol and drug treatment program. And we offer you hope and help for you to believe that there is hope for you and your family. Today we're talking about how you can find freedom from substance use, how to stay off the substances through preventing a relapse. And Ed and I have with me Ed Lacey, who is an international addiction consultant, and he and I were just talking here about these high-risk situations that can contribute to a relapse. And we talked a little bit earlier about going through the withdrawal syndrome and how that's so important to get off of that, of the substances that you're using. And I wanted to say that for alcohol, it can be like 3 to 5 days that people can be off of that and just feel great. And so they feel so good, sometimes they want to go out and have another drink. And then there's other people who are addicted to benzodiazepines or Valium. There could be, Xanax, Valium, or some of the other medications, lorazepam, which is the generic name for it. And for myself, that was part of my addiction, was that I was addicted for 10 years to opiates, which were as codeine and Tylenol. I was taking, lots of those a day, and a lot of the Valium. So I had an increased tolerance. I had a loss of control. I was using despite the fact that I was, had impaired relationships. I wasn't able to work, but I was physically dependent on them and was justifying it because I didn't know any different. Right. I was fearful that the pain, the anxiety was going to return to be so high if I stopped. And one day I read this article in Ms. Magazine about how Valium was leading, addiction was leading to depression in women. And I was so depressed, I was crying all the time, that I realized that I wanted to get off of this. And I realized that was a big problem. Now, one of the things that happens when people start to go off of the substances and you want to relapse, or you don't want to relapse, as you want to get off of it, is you got to have real clear motivation. And there's going to be times of frustration, particularly with the benzos or the opiates, that people are going to start to get frustrated. And you get frustrated just, with the person that you're living with, or get frustrated because the cat's crying or something. Those kinds of things can be real triggers because you're so stress sensitive, which I was. And I had to learn how to do some of the yoga and meditation and progressive muscle relaxation so that I could go inward, because I needed to find that part of me that I could sort of stay in. I was thinking about going into a cave and just sit there. So I made myself visually like a little tiny Judy, and I went and I got into my body and I sat next to my heart, and my heart became what was real, because my heart was throbbing, and it was just beating. And I could say that was my peaceful place.
If your message to our listeners who possibly they don't know how to get there.
Yes.
They don't know where the Judy Cave is, or the Mary Cave, or the Bill Cave. And
yes.
So, we were talking earlier, and it was so incredible to hear you share how your process was. How do you guide our listener today? What do you tell our listener today who's out there really just struggling, that doesn't have a Judy Cave, that just is out there with the frustrations of life, hooked on whatever it may be, their substance? How do they get there?
Well, first of all, you need to get some other people involved in your recovery. You cannot do it by yourself. You need help from other people.
Okay, so they could be calling in to Lasting Recovery for support.
Sure, they can call Lasting Recovery. People can reach out to 12-step meetings. That's, another way. Talking to your doctor, asking for a referral, getting into some treatment.
Do you see every person coming into Lasting Recovery?
I do. Okay. Everybody that comes in, I see.
What's that about? Why you? You're the boss lady.
I'm the boss lady. To me, it's I work from my heart, and when someone comes in, I want to get to know them. I understand where they're coming from. I want to be able to connect with them. I know that they're frustrated and angry, and I know that they're having difficult times, and I know that they've been through many times of trying to get off the substances. But I want to connect with them, and I want to connect with their families, and I want to begin to give them hope, because it's there and I see it. And that's what I love about what I do, because I get to see people come in and I get to see them discharge. And I see them, both places, and I see the growth. I see the transformation that happens during, the 8 to 10 weeks that someone is in treatment. If you come into the morning program, I do that one, and we're, there with you 4 days a week from 10 to 1. And we have, group, we've got, education, we've got active recovery, we've got acupuncture, we've got, a small group, doesn't get over 8 people in a group at a time. And those folks really get to begin connecting and sharing themselves at a very deep level.
Well, let me go back just a second, if I may, just to the person making that phone call. So basically all they got to tell you is, I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do. That's right. And I'll say, you can come in and, talk to me. Let's talk about it. And they will walk out with something. They will walk out with some knowledge about themselves. They will walk out with some hope. People will say, I just feel better. I know there's an answer. I believe now. And
I hear you saying also in your recovery, you've never had to relapse.
I've never had to relapse.
I hear your voice change when you say that. Now, when you say, I've never had to relapse,
yes.
Where does that come from?
That comes from my desire to live. And I had to choose, either if I'm going to live miserably, I'm going to get the gun out. Okay? This is why there's 600 to 800% more suicides from people who have substance abuse problems, because they feel that lack of hope. And I said, I'm going to embrace life. If I'm going to embrace life, I'm going to do it all the way. So then I started thinking about, what is it, if I could live and live fully and richly and have meaning and value, what would I do? What would I want in my life? And I put those things down on a list, and I started talking about what it is that I wanted. And I kept telling myself, I wanted to work. I wanted work that was meaningful. I wanted a healthy relationship. For me, I wanted a daughter. And, I have a daughter. And now, I wanted to have friends. I wanted to be able to enjoy things.
Where did these ideas, you did share with me earlier, you didn't come from an environment where those were the messages that were given to you as a little girl growing up.
No.
So where did these messages come from?
Actually, I was always very jealous of other people, because I thought, you have something that I want. No matter who it was, somebody always had something that I wanted. So what I said to myself, if I could have what it is that they have, what would that be?
So you use your, so to speak, defective character in a very positive way.
Yes. I said, what is it that they have? I could have that too. And what I had to accept was the fact that we're all human beings on the planet. And I in my readings, I realized that we are what we think about. And so I hadn't thought about those things. I mostly thought about they have it and I don't. So if I were to experience it, how would I experience it? What would it feel like?
So I am what I think about.
I am what I think about.
And that can be shifted from when I'm in my addiction and crossing that line to a more positive way and a new vision in life.
Yes. And, when we talk to people that come in, just to, friends or people that we know that are sober for 10, 20, 30 years, I ask them, I said, what is it that gives you that strength to keep doing this? And they said, I love life. I appreciate it every single day. I wake up in the morning and I say, thanks for another day. I'm grateful. I stay in the moment. I'm appreciative. I contribute to life. I participate in life. If I have a fear, I go beyond it. That's recovery.
So you're telling our listener, I just heard a checklist of about 10 things right there. You're telling our listener that should they choose
yes.
to drop the alcohol, drugs, whatever kind of addiction they may be in,
yes.
that there's a chance that they're going to be able to walk down the same kind of list and have a different kind of life and not go back to the drugs and alcohol?
Yes. Well, you have to do this every day. This is a one day at a time proposition, as life only comes one day at a time. But we have to learn how to forgive ourselves, accept ourselves, and just to be and enjoy one day and manage our mind that wants to go off and create all sorts of catastrophes.
Because I was really just struck on the part about accept ourselves, because, truthfully, when they pick up that phone call to call Lasting Recovery, what they think of themselves is between 0 and 0 somewhere.
Sure.
It's not about low self-esteem.
It's like
about no self. Exactly. It's it's that loss of. There's a loss of who you are.
Exactly, and that's part of what we like to do, is to be able to help you to reclaim that. so that you can begin feeling the strength and the life force in
Is
you.
it reclaim or claim?
Well, for
That's
some
just
people,
a question for you there, Dr. Judy.
well, for some people it's claim, for some people it's reclaim.
So
Yeah.
I think it's important to be able to talk about both sides of that. Some
Yes.
people would really would rather not reclaim, and others need to claim and go forward.
Well, there's always memories that we have where they could just be 30-second memories that you had of an experience that I always call like a gold thread. It was like a peak experience. And so what you want to be able to do is begin thinking about some of those peak experiences that you had so you can remember those emotions and remember that feeling and remember what that moment was like. And that's what's really important for people. For example, it's like petting a cat reminds me of love. That's like unconditional love is a baby kitten or a puppy or just a baby. It's like, when you're oohing and awing over this pet, or you're really giving yourself a gift, because this is about how you're bringing up that unconditional love. Now, you want to be able to bring that up for yourself every day.
With help.
With help.
With
oh
help.
yeah, you can't
I
do
always
it
have
by
to throw
yourself.
that part
Yes,
in.
yes.
I don't know many people that alone out there. You're going to make it by yourself.
Yeah.
We didn't get into the addiction by ourselves. We
That's
didn't get
right.
into the alcohol, drugs, or whatever type of addiction we have by ourselves. And I think the clear message is coming out. It's not by ourselves.
It's
either.
not by ourselves. This is a lot of times we'll send people, into support groups, and one of the things that people say, well, gee, I don't want to go to those kind of support groups. And I said, well, this is the after party, because they're the same folks you drank with, same folks you use pot with. And it's just, they're not doing it now. And so it's like the lights are on. You get to see each other as you are. And that part's wonderful.
Sure.
So it's a matter of, what it is that we can do by ourselves, what we can do with other people. Because we want to look at today, again, the fact that relapse is something that there's nothing to be ashamed of. Relapse can be an opportunity to learn. And that's what we look at as a mistake is never anything to be punished about, but it's like, what did I learn from this? So if you that are sitting out there in your car or at home have suffered more than one or two relapses and you're feeling guilty about it and saying there's no hope for me, I want you to sit down today and write out what it is that you learned about yourself in doing that. It could have been that you had different sort of problems of what it is that you looked at, and that you didn't really get into the solution far enough before you relapsed. You want to give us a call. Our lasting recovery number here is 858-453-4315. That's 858-453-4315. Or you can go to www.lastingrecovery.com, and our phone number and all sorts of information is on the page there. What you want to recognize is that relapse is one of those things that there's like high-risk situations, there's frustration and anger, there's social pressure, and there's interpersonal temptation. And then when we get exposure to alcohol, and you don't have very much confidence about your ability to say no, then if you can't resist it, then it's so powerful that it'll undermine your brain, and people will relapse. So one of the things that we talk about a lot at Lasting Recovery are refusal skills. Mm-hmm. How do I learn to say no? How do I learn to say no thank you to the party, no thank you to the dinner? And you asked me about my own recovery. There's friends that I've had to change friends and just sort of let go of some of the folks that they drank around me, and they didn't respect the fact that I couldn't have it, and I had to take responsibility for myself and recognize that that day I did not want to drink, and so I needed to go find other things to do, other activities, because I can't be around the situations. I have a zero tolerance in my house. Nobody brings in alcohol or drugs. And, I just avoid the alcohol aisle. I do other things so that I'm not tempted to even look at it, because I've created a recovery reality tunnel for myself. Again, I'm Dr. Judy Saalinger on Lasting Recovery. And today we've been talking a lot about how to prevent a relapse. We have so many more topics for you.